So I guess you catch me off guard with this, but my initial response is I think there's two perspectives that have to be considered. There's the individual perspective of what normal behaviors are, and I think that varies upon every individual. But then collaboratively as a whole, society there's like the Venn diagram. There's things that overlap. So I guess you have to look at that Venn diagram as an analogy, and then kind of like what society has some commonalities of what it calls normal. And then I'll stick with that same on the same lines of what I was saying. I'll give examples from the two perspectives then. So individually, okay, this is the first thing that comes to my head. I jog in the morning. When I jog, I put headphones on and I hum. And I got this weird thing that it helps me. I like singing when I'm jogging. I hum. Now, when I go to the track and do that, I know that people think that that's probably not normal, right? If you see somebody at Via Olympica jogging and they got headphones on and they're kind of humming when they're running, that person, I assume that there's some people that and I'm comfortable with it, but I assume there's some people in that environment that are making jokes about the guy that's humming when he runs, or
so,
right?
Mr. Do you think that normality depends on where you're at?
Yeah. So in that environment, individually, I think that there are people in that environment that think nothing of it because they've got, they're open-minded, I would call it, and they go, oh, that guy hums when he runs. Who cares? And there's other people that they think, oh, that's weird. So I think that's an example of how individuals can look at something. Then there's society as a whole, and then the commonality where that Venn diagram overlaps. So I think that there's things that we all kind of agree is normal and abnormal. I don't know, maybe an extreme example, it would be abnormal behavior in this society, societally, in the Venn diagram, if I came to school wearing a dress. I don't think you can be as open-minded as you want, but that would be the whole group. There wouldn't be individual perspectives. Everybody would kind of say, "What's up with Mr. Dobie, man? He lost it." You guys have heard this from your parents, from your teachers, that we always encourage you to follow your own code of conduct, right? I mean, you're being told that in different ways, but to thine own self be true. So, those aren't just words. I think we should all be open-minded and do what you think is right. And sometimes, I strayed a little bit. So your behaviors, you should do what you think is right. Unless, you shouldn't worry so much about what people are thinking is normal. I think at your age, and every age, all people do that. They fall in the trap of not trying to be different. But we're giving you mixed messages because we're also telling you to be yourself. So I think the short answer is you should define what I think individually should define what normal is. I think that's the best way to go. And when you do that, you should be open-minded to what other people are doing. And at the same time, it's like always balance in life, having your foot on both land and the boat at the same time. At the same time, understand there's like some boundaries. There are some things, it's good to be open-minded, but there are some things where it's just like, that's too far. That's really crazy. So there's boundaries to that.
Behavior is acting like everyone else does.
Provide some examples of normal behavior.
Normal behavior is walking in the hallway with your phone, talking with your friends, not screaming and not jumping around. Jumping around and screaming and acting like not usually people act in public.
And how is that?
Like screaming, jumping, um, acting way that society wouldn't accept as normal. Like if you live in a Spanish-speaking country, you're not. It's not normal to speak like Chinese or to have different kinds of hair color. They're not accepted in society. So, society, because it's made of everybody, and everybody decides what's right and what's wrong and what's accepted.
Yes, the themes I found were identities, perspectives, because, for example, Mr. Dolby talked about how different behaviors arrive when you get to different places. So, for example, cultures and traditions can influence your way of behavior, and Natalia said that she was really, she conformed a lot with what society said, so we can see how conformity also plays a role because she acts the way society wants her to act.
Well, actually, I do agree with Mr. Dolby's response because I think that there is a normality in many things and abnormality in many things also. But between them, there should be boundaries to define what is normal and what is not normal. For example, depending on the place or situation you're in, you have to act in a certain way and conform to what other people are saying and acting in the way they're acting. So I believe that there are boundaries, and it depends on culture, traditions, and different things that influence people's behavior in a different society.
Yes, I disagreed with Natalia's Nufia's reply because I think that her definitions weren't that concrete. They were very, I don't know, like up in the air, and they were very biased to a certain group of people. And to start with, I don't believe that there is anyone normal. Everyone's weird in some respect or another. So I don't think like normal actually exists. And then I disagree with her because again, she's really biased. I don't think people walking around with their phones and like chatting and socializing is necessarily the definition of normal. I think that other people that maybe, I don't know, read in the hallways or decide not to talk to people can be also considered normal. So I think that she just pinpointed as like a small group, and she also said that society should decide what's normal and what's not normal. And I think each individual on their own should judge by reason what is and what is not abnormal. So I really disagreed with her.
Well, I actually can't define something as abnormal. I disagree with the existence of something abnormal because like even sick people with abnormal diseases, um, I mean like being sick is not abnormal. When you get a flu, it's not abnormal. And so, well, I could add that being normal is like, as Marcela said, coming to school, spending time with your family, like any emotional response, things like that are part of everyday routines.
I don't think that anyone should decide what normal and abnormal behavior is because there's no specific definition to what normal is. And I believe that this is a very broad topic because it has different opinions. And the person should decide the people should decide what normal and abnormal behavior is depending on their culture, because some people may see something normal but other culture may see it as abnormal. So it all depends where you live in and what culture you belong to.